Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start this video with a hotel horror story featuring a Karen and Ken couple who think rules don't apply to them. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Lady throws a tantrum when she can't extend her stay for free, threatens to call the cops. I, 20-year-old male, work at a smallish hotel. It's right by an interstate leading out of the small city I live in. This alone makes us one of the busiest hotels in the area, which means we get all kinds of crazies and entitled snobs from all over, much like this lady. I wasn't physically here for the start of this story, so sorry in advance if I edit this bit to fix anything that wasn't told to me correctly. Hotels suck at passing information on to other shifts. But anyways, there's a woman and her husband staying here who have been absolutely calling down nonstop to complain about absolutely everything. They've tried to get free stuff from us and even tried to get their room at a lower rate, which we can't do because they booked their room using H-ton honor points. Fun fact, hotels can't do anything to your reservation if you book through a third party or with points. The morning that I was supposed to come back to work, they came down to try to extend their stay for another day. They were told they can't do that through the front desk and would have to book an additional reservation to stay in their room. That's all fine with them, and we figure that's that. 1 p.m. rolls around, and housekeeping goes to clean the room they're in, and they're still in there, arguing with the head housekeeper. I wasn't told what was said, but I'm assuming that Karen lied and said she made another reservation and that it was an outrage that her room was barged into. Sometime after that, they leave to do whatever the hell people come to this town for. I really don't know. This place sucks. 10:15 p.m. rolls around, and they come back and complain that their keys don't work. Obviously, they were told that they'd have to make another reservation and that we'd let them into their room to grab their stuff and sort things out quickly. Then 11 p.m. rolls around, and I come in, which is when the fun starts. Now, I've done customer service for a while now, and I've always gotten a ton of great reviews from everywhere I've worked. I'm good at talking to customers, but I'm very, very blunt and upfront with everyone and never change how I act or talk. Normally, people love that about me because they know they aren't getting bullcrap answers. Karens and Kens hate that because they can't get much over on me. I get into work a little late for my 11 p.m. shift. Normally, I'm here at 10 p.m., but tonight it's 11:05 p.m., and I'm told about this room that's been a giant pain in the butt the whole time they were here. I'm then told about everything that happened above. Mind you, this is my first day back after a 2-day vacation. I realized that they literally just got into their room and called them at about 11:15 p.m. Normally I wouldn't, but I thought there's no way they got in and went straight to sleep. I call and no answer. Then I get a call 2 minutes later asking why I called them. Me. I'm Tim from the front desk. I called to ask about the second reservation that you were supposed to make to stay in the room. Karen, excuse me? Me. I'm Tim from the front desk. I called to ask about the second reservation that you were supposed to. Karen, did you seriously wake us up about some reservation we made? Are you saying that we aren't supposed to be in here? This is the worst hotel I've ever stayed at. We go back and forth about them needing a reservation, and then she hangs up on me saying that she'll talk about it in the morning. I was told earlier that she mentioned something about being offered another room at $119 a night, which I was still ready to do at this point. So I start getting her info from the last reservation to rebook the room, despite the fact she lied to second shift about rebooking the room and complaining to me about how crappy of a job I'm doing. 4 or 5 minutes go by and the phone rings again. At this point, both of the second shifters are watching me to see what I'll do, so I pick up the phone. Me. Thank you for calling the hotel front desk. My name's Tim. How may I help you? Ken. Are you the one who woke us up over our reservation instead of waiting until the morning? Me. Yes. Ken. So what's going on? What's the issue down there? Me. Currently as it stands, there is no reservation in the computer for you guys. Ken. We asked the lady at the front desk this morning to add a day onto our stay. Me. Since your stay was booked using points, we aren't able to extend your stay, and you'll have to book another reservation. Ken. This seriously couldn't wait until the morning? Karen in the background. What's he saying? Here, give me the phone. Karen in the foreground. Hello? Me. Hi. Karen. What's your name? Me. Tim. Karen. Tim what? Me. I don't see any reason that you need my last name. Karen, excuse me? Me, I gave you my first name and that's all I'm required to give you. If you would like to file a complaint about me, that's all you need. Karen, no, you need to give me your last name. You woke me up for something that could be dealt with in the morning. I'm going to call the cops on you. Me, go ahead. Karen, what? Me, go ahead and call the cops. That's your right to do so. Karen, are you threatening me? Me, I am in no way, shape, or form threatening you. Karen, well, I'm calling the cops on you because you won't give me your name and you're being mean to me. And this is the worst hotel I've ever stayed at. I just got here from the C-Rad Hotel and it was way better. Me, that's fine. You do what you have to do. Karen, you have to give me your last name and employee number so I can put in a complaint. Me, my name is more than enough to make a complaint. Karen, no, because you told me that you were the front desk manager. Me, I never said I was a manager. Karen, what's your position then? Me, I'm the night auditor. Karen, the night auditor? Me, yep. Click. She hung up, so I finished taking down all the info I need to book another room, this time at the actual rate that it's supposed to be because F her, and I don't want to hear from her again. One of the other second shifters told me that he would watch the desk for a couple of minutes while I take a crap, so I went and came back to see him on the phone talking to Karen. After he got off the phone, he told me she literally just called to complain. In the morning, my manager let her sit there and complain and then sent her on her way after an hour of that. Karen was literally trespassing when she didn't officially check back into the room. Your first and second shift sucked for letting her into the room without payment. They should have dealt with it instead of pushing it on to audit. Basically told her she has to pay to get her keys or someone will escort her upstairs so she can take her belongings and leave. And our next story. No overtime, no exceptions. I work in IT and worked with one client for years and years looking after their various networks. Normally, it's a 9-to-5 kind of job, but if something goes wrong after hours, it can become a real emergency for them quickly. One day, the manager came down to visit our small team at this client's office. We were told they renegotiated the contract and took a 5% cut on the job, so they asked if we would all take a 5% pay cut as well. No one accepted that, and we were ready to walk if they tried to push it. The next week, we were told there was to be zero overtime without prior authorization of the company's president himself, and there are no exceptions to this ironclad rule. They had us repeat the new policy back to them and emailed it to us. The only thing I said to them was, "This is going to end poorly." 2 days later, the core router that connects all the different parts of the big data center failed at 9 p.m. Our manager called my cell phone and said to jump in my car because the data center was down. I told him that I didn't have authorization from the company president, who'd apparently gone camping for the long weekend with his family and was out of contact. I told him, sorry, I can't do any work as it hasn't been authorized. He tried to say how he's authorizing it. I told him he specifically told us just earlier this week it has to be from the company president and there are no exceptions. If he can get a hold of the president, then give me a call back. He was mad. The client was mad as they were told I refused to help. He left an angry voicemail for the president about me. They did get it fixed when the manager drove himself to the data center in the wee hours of the morning to pull the bad circuit board. The next business day, first thing in the morning, the manager, the client's CIO, and our company president were waiting for me to come in and told me to come to the meeting room. It went as expected with raised voices, accusations, and many final warnings until I pulled out the email and gave it to the client's CIO to read. It took him 10 seconds to read, and then the CIO asked me to head back to my desk and carry on with my day. I never heard what was said in the room after I left, but there was a new directive that afternoon that overtime work no longer must have prior authorization. I worked another 2 years there before I left for a better job. But to this day, if there's a rule with no exceptions, I relate this exact story and ask them to rethink what they're about to tell us. Honestly, the most unexpected part of this story is where the manager drove to the data center and fixed the problem himself. Everything else went pretty much as I'd expected from reading the title. I wouldn't even have answered the phone at 9 p.m. Work phones go off at the end of work. Private phone number isn't given to anyone. And our next story. If you park in my spot, you'd better hope you can find your car again. I live in an apartment building with a tandem parking setup, 2 spaces per unit, one behind the other. The parking garage is secured with an automatic roller door, meaning you can only get in if you have a remote or tailgate behind someone else. Since I only have one car, I usually park in the back of my space, which makes it easier for my neighbors who have two cars. Sometimes I let friends use the front spot, but only when they give me notice. Earlier this year, a random car started showing up every Friday afternoon, parking in front of mine and blocking me in. At first, I thought it was just a one-time mistake, but it happened again the next week, and then again and again. Every Friday, some mystery driver would trap my car, making it impossible for me to go out on Friday nights unless I'd parked in the front spot myself. Super inconvenient, but since I live close to the city, it wasn't the end of the world. Still, the audacity was insane. I started leaving polite notes on the windshield asking them not to park there. The notes turned into firm warnings. Then, after a month of this, I escalated. I printed out a photo of their car with the license plate clearly visible and wrote that if they did this again, I would press charges and/or have them towed. And then the next weekend, it happened again. This time, the car was still there on Saturday afternoon, completely ruining my weekend plans. I was supposed to drive out of town with a friend, but nope. This random jackwagon had once again treated my spot like their personal parking space. My note from the night before was still sitting limply under their wiper blade, completely ignored. That was it. Time to have this car removed. I called building management, who were completely useless. Then I called a towing company, only to be told that they couldn't tow it because my spot was on the third floor of the garage and their trucks couldn't fit up the ramps. Fantastic. I was stuck, with no official way to move the car. For a moment, I genuinely considered just sitting on the hood and waiting for the driver to return so I could scream at them in person. But then I had an idea. See, my parents live 30 minutes away, and I keep a project car in their garage. Since the garage space is tight, I use vehicle positioning jacks to roll my project car up against the wall when I'm not working on it. For those who don't know, vehicle positioning jacks are these little amazing hydraulic dollies that slot under each wheel, letting you lift the car up and move it in any direction. I wasn't planning on grabbing them that day, but since I was already at my parents' place fuming over my ruined weekend, a brilliant idea popped into my head. I called up a few friends who had also been inconvenienced by this parking thief before and asked if they wanted to help me screw someone over. Obviously, they were all in. We loaded up the jacks, drove back to my building, and got to work. We quietly lifted the car, being careful not to trigger any alarms, and started rolling it across the garage. Moving a small hatchback with 6 guys? Easy. We pushed it slowly and carefully to an out-of-the-way corner of the garage, an unlit section behind a load-bearing pillar, just wide enough to fit a car, but not wide enough to drive out easily. Once the car was tucked away, nose to wall, we removed the jacks, took back my note, and left to enjoy our weekend. When I got home Monday evening, the car was still stuck there. I noticed the front wheels had moved, which meant they tried to get out but failed. By midweek, the car had disappeared. I have no idea how they eventually freed it, but I do know one thing. I never saw that car in my space again. This whole situation really makes you wonder how they eventually found the car. I can totally imagine them wandering around at first, asking themselves where it could be, trying to find other parking spots, or even possibly calling the impound lot in a panic. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.